Last night, while much of the world was asleep, Iran carried out a major attack. It wasn't just one or two strikes, there were 9 separate waves in a single day. Sirens echoed across Tel Aviv, but in some areas, warning systems failed completely. People had less than 90 seconds to react. Elderly residents couldn't move fast enough. Parents with small children struggled to reach shelters before explosions hit. By morning, the damage was clear: buildings torn apart, cars thrown across, streets and shrapnel scattered through neighborhoods. Israel's health ministry reported nearly 150 people injured within just 24 hours. Yet many major news outlets chose to focus on other stories instead today. We're breaking everything down: what weapons were used, why Israel's defense systems are under pressure, the role Russia is playing, and how this conflict is already affecting your fuel costs, your grocery bills, and the global economy. The first phase of the attack involved a rash-to-suicide drones targeting the port of Haifa port. These are not surveillance drones. They're designed for one purpose: to hit a target and explode. They can travel between 1,500 and 2,000 kilometers and carry powerful warheads aimed at critical infrastructure, like ports and radar systems. They also fly low, making them harder to detect. Iranian sources claim successful strikes on key locations, especially Haifa port, which is Israel's largest northern trade hub. Hitting it sends a clear message, not just militarily, but economically. The situation becomes even more serious when looking at Iran's growing drone capabilities, especially with support from Russia. According to a March 25th report from the Financial Times, Russia has been supplying Iran with advanced drones known as Iran 2. These are upgraded versions of Iran's Shahed 136 drones. In fact, about 90% of these drones are now assembled inside Russia. What started as Iran helping Russia during the Ukraine war has now reversed. With Russia sending improved versions back to Iran, experts say Iran is not just looking for more drones, it wants better ones. These newer models include improved engines, stronger navigation systems, and better resistance to electronic jamming. Analysts expect Iran to study these upgrades and apply them to its own production. There are also claims that Russia has provided intelligence support, including possible satellite imagery, although not all of this has been independently confirmed. At the same time, Israel targeted Iran's Caspian port of Bandar Anzali, which U.S. officials identified as a key route for Russian military supplies. Russia denied these reports but confirmed it remains in close contact with Iran's leadership. Now let's talk about Israel's air defense system. It's often described as highly effective. Officials say it has a 92% interception rate. That sounds impressive, but the full picture tells a different story. Iran has launched over 440 ballistic missiles so far. 92% were intercepted. That still leaves 8% getting through. That equals 35 missiles hitting targets inside Israel. In a densely populated country, 35 direct impacts is a serious crisis, not a minor gap. And the situation is becoming more complex because nearly half of Iran's missiles carry cluster munitions. Unlike a standard missile, which has one warhead and one target, these break apart midair at around 7 to 10 kilometers altitude. Each missile releases about 24 smaller explosives, each following its own path. That means one missile turns into 24 separate threats, making interception far more difficult. Israeli officials say the real solution would be systems capable of destroying missiles outside the atmosphere before they split. Current systems like David's Sling were not designed for this type of threat, and expanding their role does not solve the problem completely. There's also a major economic angle to this war. Each interceptor missile used by Israel can cost between $320,000 and $650,000. Meanwhile, Iran's missiles cost between $200,000 and $500,000. Over time, this creates a financial imbalance that is hard to sustain. Reports from a leaked Israeli cabinet meeting add even more concern. According to local media, IDF Chief of Staff Herzi Halevi warned that the military is under extreme strain. Is currently involved in multiple operations across Gaza, Lebanon, the West Bank, Syria, and now Iran. Reserve forces are exhausted after long deployments with little rest. Halevi reportedly said the system is approaching a breaking point. On the other side, Iranian officials claim they have mobilized over 1 million fighters. While there is no confirmed evidence all of them are active in combat, the claim is being used as a strong warning, especially toward the United States. Historically, Iran has mobilized large numbers during past conflicts, so the possibility cannot be completely dismissed. The United States, however, is not deploying massive ground forces. Instead, smaller units like the 82nd Airborne Division are positioned for rapid response. Interestingly, reports suggest U.S. troops in Gulf countries are avoiding military bases and staying in civilian hotels. The reason is simple bases are now higher-risk targets. Some hotels are even refusing to host U.S. troops because their presence could attract attacks. Iran has used this situation to accuse the U.S. of putting civilians at risk by using them as shields. So, where does this leave us? This is no longer just a conflict between Iran and Israel. It has expanded into a wider regional crisis with global consequences. Gulf countries are involved. Energy markets are affected. Food and fuel prices around the world are already reacting. Iran shows no trust in U.S. diplomacy. Israel is facing pressure on multiple fronts. Groups like Hezbollah and the Houthis are becoming more active. Russia is quietly supporting Iran. Behind closed doors, every side is telling a different story. The real question now is not whether this war is serious, that is already clear. The question is what happens next. Will there be a ground invasion? Is there a hidden deal being negotiated? And how much further will this impact the global economy and everyday life before it ends? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to stay updated as this situation develops, make sure to subscribe because this story is moving fast and every update matters.